We have all been deceived. And without realizing it, we too were perpetuating falsehoods. Many of us have even been part of the lies of one of the greatest alternative truths our world has ever known. Let's just come clean. Raise your hand if you've ever heard or told a child that eating carrots will improve their vision. Well, prepare to be shocked. Yes, carrots are a good source of beta-carotene, which the body converts to vitamin A, a crucial component of eye health. However, studies establishing these links use massive doses of beta-carotene that would be incredibly hard to match through the consumption of carrots. So why do so many of us tell our children to eat their carrots and improve their vision? Well, it turns out the connection between carrots and keen eyesight started from a political myth. Apparently, during World War II, when the British perfected their airborne interception radar and were finally able to stop the onslaught of German bombers attacking at night, they tried to keep their new technology a secret and maintain a competitive edge by claiming that talented cat-eyes pilots had exceptional night vision due to their love of carrots. There was a massive media campaign with posters, news ads, and even the creation of a cartoon telling the world their secret weapon was the carrot. The effects of this fake news campaign can be felt to this day. Though carrots do contain certain vitamins that are good for sight, they are not the miracle fix the British Royal Air Force once claimed. An early campaign of misinformation. I wonder what happens when even good guys use lies and misinformation in order to convince others of the rightness of their position. Are we all still the good guys then? The British Royal Air Force used deception for good reason, but they still spread falsehoods. Are such behaviors acceptable? It's true that carrots are harmless, but this was a lie. And today, in our world, this happens all the time. Can we just accept the existence of alternative facts? Is this what we call it? Nearly 2,000 years ago, our rabbis called it gnavat da'at. Gnava meaning theft and da'at meaning knowledge. All carrots aside, political stories that are not 100% truthful are gnavat da'at. They are thieves. They steal the truth from our fingertips and deprive us of truly knowing and understanding the full story. And these fake stories are actively robbing us of the opportunity to think and decide for ourselves who and what are right and wrong. As I listened closely to news radio this week, I heard conversational acrobatics during the impeachment hearings, with questions sometimes being posed in such a way that the questions themselves seem to spread gossip, lies, and mistruths. And while I will not get into the conversation about whether or not our president should be impeached, at least from the Bema, I will say that I cringed, both as supporters tried to paint a scene of corruption in Hunter Biden's work, and when opponents of the president excitedly declared that someone claiming to have overheard the president while sitting next to the person he was on the phone with was somehow a first-person account of what his intentions were. Would any of that misdirection or supposition be allowed in a court of law? I don't know. While for some the goal was truth and justice, Lots of carrots seemed to spill forth in this hearing, and it made me wonder where the airborne interception radar was, meaning what true fact or development was being covered up by focusing on discussions without evidence and baseless conjecture over people's motives. And I was puzzled this week by the way the newest shootings were covered or brushed over. A 16-year-old boy pulled a handgun out of his backpack at a Southern California high school Thursday morning and shot 5 of his fellow students, killing 2 of them before he turned the gun on himself, police said. And I find myself once again preaching that reasonable people should be able to come up with reasonable solutions that should not be controversial, and that it's time for our leaders to find a way to protect our constitutional rights while upholding the importance of protecting our public health, safety, and welfare. But do I hear this on the news? No. I hear shock and awe, thoughts and prayers, with ideas and actions unspoken. Carrots of comfort are shared, while a true response is missing. And at other points in the day, I heard coverage of news from Israel. And quite frankly, I shuddered by the way that facts were carefully presented to enhance a singular point of view and narrative. Now, anyone who knows me knows that my view of Israel is not narrow-minded. I know Israel is not always right. But I'm still hurt and a little shocked by the way National Public Radio blames every incitement on Israel alone and fails to report the way Israelis' lives are shaken by countless missiles being shot at them. And I wonder, do these reporters truly believe this conflict can be blamed only on one party? Or are they aware that they carefully crafted a narrative that projects specific assumptions? Was it purposeful to speak about aggression only on one side and victimhood only on the other, when we all know that there are both aggressors and victims on all sides? Did they choose to talk about carrots to cover up the new fancy radar? Or do they really believe eating carrots will help them see better at night? I'm not sure what the answer is, but I know that our Torah portion this week speaks a lot about seeing and being seen. Different individuals see or avoid seeing truth, and in different moments, new information is brought in and seen and changes the facts on the ground. The language of seeing repeats 7 different times in this week's Torah reading. Our Torah portion opens with God appearing to Abraham and Abraham lifting his eyes and seeing. And later, as angels approached Sodom, Lot saw them and rose. And then we're told Sarah saw Ishmael teasing Isaac, and this leads to his and his mother's banishment. And while wandering, we're then told Hagar feared seeing her child as he was dying. Luckily, God then interfered so she didn't have to. And later, Abraham lifted his eyes to see a far-off place. And though he almost misses it, he finally lifts his eyes once more and looked up and saw a ram caught in the thicket that he offered as a sacrifice and called the place Adonai Yireh, God is seen. This is a lot for one portion, a lot of repetition of the same words. There's a lot of conversation in our Torah this week about looking and seeing, and the assumption that by seeing, we know. I believe in the middle of this crazy week, our Torah teaches us that for knowledge, for da'at, we must rely on which we ourselves see and know to be true. We cannot hear or read something and assume it is fact at this point in our lives. On the contrary, we should probably listen closely and wonder what the speaker hopes to convey. We must look and see for ourselves where stories come from, and we must turn away. We must not turn away from the difficult ones. If our Torah portion this week wants to bring attention to our seeing the truth, then we must encounter our world and modern news stories of all kinds with the ability to discern the truth. Here are some practical steps we can all take as suggested by a prominent research service while evaluating news articles and reports. Number 1, check the content. Are the facts and figures accurate? Is the opinion balanced? Look and see for yourself. Number 2, check the outlet. Do you know it? Who's behind it? Who funds it? Look and see for yourself. Number 3, check the author. If he or she does not exist, if the name is made up, chances are the content is made up as well. Look and see for yourself. Check the sources. Does the author use reliable ones? Be careful if they're all anonymous, as they could be fake. Look and see for yourself. Check the pictures. Images are powerful and more subject to digital manipulation than ever before. Is it real? Is it edited? Is it new? Is it relevant? Look and see for yourselves. And finally, think before you share. The story could be a distortion or satire. If an event is real, reliable media will report it. Can you find it on reliable media? Look and see for yourself. Rabbi Jack Luxemburg writes that protecting ourselves from disinformation and diminishing its coercive effects on our lives and our country will not be easy because it's widespread, it's slippery, and so many people embrace it with a willful disregard of facts, evidence, and truth. And yet our Torah reminds us to look and see what is really in front of us. Dr. King once observed that nothing in the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. We must not allow ourselves to fall victim to either category. Look and see for yourself, evaluate what you hear, and wonder, is this speaking truth or painting a story? Ask, am I being manipulated as a listener and reader? Figure out what you know to be true and hold that higher than what others suggest might have happened. The famous English preacher Charles Spurgeon taught, it is not the ability to distinguish between right and wrong we need, but to determine between right and almost right. How right he was. We must look and see for ourselves. We must distinguish between plausible and actual, and we must lift our eyes to knowledge and never let the truth be stolen from us. This is the work we have before us at this point in our history. Good luck. Shabbat Shalom.